Having a profitable launch should not be stressful. If you are feeling overwhelmed and like you just want to throw in the towel, then that means that something is wrong and I really want to help you fix it. In this video, we are going to go over my 3-step framework for planning your profitable launch. Stay tuned. Hey friends, and welcome to my village. I am Brianca Johnson and I am a launch and marketing strategist. I specialize in helping my clients plan profitable and custom launch and marketing plans. Watch this video and subscribe to my channel for all of the latest and greatest tips in launching, marketing, and entrepreneurship. Now let's get into it. I am so excited to be chatting here with you today about my absolute favorite topic, launching. Before working with me, my clients are so frustrated, irritated, overwhelmed, all the things, because they have heard all of these nightmare stories about launching and they really just don't even know where to start. But the good news is that after watching this video, you'll have 3 key steps that you'll be able to use to avoid all of that and plan your launch without overwhelm. So are you ready? Because if so, it is time to get this party started. All right. So the very first step to planning your profitable launch is going to be setting your goals and your timeline. And I really like to do this using an acronym that I learned in the 3rd grade. And yes, you heard that right, the 3rd grade. So basically what happened is when I was in the 3rd grade, I had a teacher, her name was Mrs. Griffin. And she told me that if you ever wanted to write a really good story, you had to answer these 6 questions: who, what, where, when, why, and how. Somehow that has always stuck in my brain, and so whenever I am writing anything or planning anything, I like to ensure that I'm always answering those 6 questions. And there is no better time to use that than when it comes to planning our launch. And so we're going to start there and answer those 6 questions, so that way when it's time for you to plan your launch, you know exactly where to start. So who, what, where, when, why, how. You want to know, who are you launching to? So who is your ideal client avatar? You want to know their pain points. You want to know their desires, their motivations, what objections they may have, what competitors are they looking at when it comes to people who are in your industry. What have they tried, before coming to work with you, and did it work? Why didn't it work? You just want to be able to really have a really good idea, right, of who they are and what they look like. One of the things that I really like to do when I'm identifying my ideal client avatar is give them a name. And the reason for this is because it helps me keep them in the front of my brain whenever I'm doing anything for them. So if I'm creating content, if I'm writing emails, if I'm building out a landing page or a sales page, I want to make sure that I have this ideal client avatar in the top of my mind and that everything that I'm doing is structured and centered around this one person. So before you even get into planning your launch, right, you want to be super duper extra clear on who it is that you are talking to, because you want to make sure that every single time they encounter your brand or your content or anything, that they are feeling evoked with emotion, that they are feeling like you are the person who can serve them and who can help them to really get to the desires of their heart and what they are looking to accomplish in their life or business using your framework and your strategies. So the first W is going to be who. Once we have a really good idea of who it is that we are talking to, we want to know what exactly is it that we are launching. And the reason for this is because we want to be able to connect the thing that we are launching to our ideal client avatar's pain points, their problems, their desires. And it's important for you to know that there is no correct order when it comes to who, what, where, when, why, how, right? So if you want to first work with the audience that you already have, or if you first want to work with a program or a service that you have, you can always swap those 2 out. So going back to what are you launching? You want to be clear that the program or the service that you are launching is in direct connection to your ideal client avatar. You want them to feel like you created this program or this service specifically for them. And when we are able to do that, when we are able to evoke that emotion, then we are able to see higher conversion rates and we're able to see more profitable launches. Next, you want to know, why do they need this offer right now? So what is the urgency? What are they struggling with in their life or in their business that they absolutely have to have this fixed right now, or this thing is going to happen, or they're going to feel this way? And when you're able to pull out what that motivation is, then you're able to speak to it in your content. You're able to speak to it in your emails, on your landing page, in your lives, in your mini trainings, everywhere, because you're able to make them feel like, oh, if I don't work with this person in this program or in this service, then I'm going to continue to struggle, or I'm going to miss out, or I'm not going to be able to do whatever the end goal is for them. So you always want to make sure that you are talking and that you are speaking to those motivations. Next, you want to be clear on where will you generate leads. So will you use YouTube? Will you use Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, LinkedIn? What platforms? Will you be doing more in-person marketing? Like, will you be going to events and passing out flyers or business cards? Will you be leveraging your audience, or like podcasts or guest trainings? Where will you focus the brunt of your energy to attract the leads that you need in order to move down through your funnel? Next, you want to know, what are your key launch dates? And when I say key launch dates, I mean, when does your cart open? When does your cart close? Will you have a wait list, and what will your wait list period look like? How long will you promote before your launch goes live? You just want to know like what the key pivotal dates are, because these dates are going to be important in planning out your deadlines. They're going to be important in planning out your content and structuring your content around those key dates. So you want to make sure that you always know where these key dates are and keep them in the front of your mind, because you want to make sure that when you are requesting deliverables, when you're getting things back from your team, that they are being delivered to you ahead of that schedule, so that way you can not worry about planning your launch and running your launch at the same time. You want your launch to be planned ahead of your open cart date, so that way while the cart is open, you are focused on serving and selling and not on implementing the launch. You also want to know, how will you nurture your leads? So where will you keep in touch with them, while they are moving through your funnel, so that way they don't feel lost, or they don't get too far removed from the offer, right? So you want to make sure that you are either going to be nurturing them in your DMs, or you're going to be nurturing them in your emails, or are you going to be doing both? How are you going to ensure that you keep yourself at the top of their mind, at the forefront of their mind during your launch and your open cart period? So as a recap, the number one thing is to set your goals and your timelines. And the first part of that is going to be getting very clear on your who, what, where, when, why, and how. So you always want to make sure that you plan that out first. After you have answered your who, what, where, when, why, how, and you're like, okay, I feel good, I feel solid, I know exactly, where I need to start in this launch, then the next step is going to be planning out your goals. So you want to identify a good, better, and a best goal. And the reason for this is because sometimes, right, your launch may not go as planned. And you just want to make sure that you always hit the minimum number goal that you need to be profitable. So a lot of times we don't look at our past data, we don't look at our current conversion rates or what is already happening in our business, and then we create this goal for our launch that isn't really in alignment with what our data is already telling us. When we leverage a good, better, and a best goal, what we are able to do is say, these are the 3 benchmarks that I would like to hit during this launch. If I hit good, then this means that this is okay. I was profitable. It wasn't exactly what I wanted to do, but I feel confident in this goal. Obviously, better is going to be a little bit better, right? It's going to be like, oh, this is good. A lot of times your better goal is the goal number that you actually want. So it's the number that you are actually wanting to hit. So let's say you really wanted 10 people enrolled into your program. Your good goal may be 7, your better goal may be 10, and your best goal may be 15. And the reason for this is because you're able to just gauge, right? And say like, even if I don't hit the number 10 and I only get 7 people, my launch was not a failure. I just know that I need to look a little bit more into the data in order to increase that conversion rate or to increase the number of leads that I have into my funnel. Setting your good, better, and best goals is going to be so important because this is what you're going to look at. This is what you're going to leverage during your open cart period to see if your content is on track, if you need to implement any new strategies into your plan, or if you are doing well and maybe your goal was too low. So you always want to make sure that you plan your good, better, and your best goals, because what they are going to do is help you to stay prepared and to stay focused in the event that your launch does not go in the way that you most want it to. A good example of this is my past 3 launches for my accelerator. The very last launch, I really wanted 20 people into the program. I did not get 20 people into my program, but we did have a $68,000 launch, which was 50% bigger than the previous launch before that. So if I had only relied on the number 20, then it would have been very difficult for me to understand that although I didn't hit that goal, I still had a profitable launch and I still had a really good launch. And I was able to come to that conclusion after looking at the data and after looking at the good, better, and best goals that I had set for that launch. So it's also just a really good way to keep your emotions in check, especially if you're launching for the very first time. Step number 2 is going to be mapping out your funnel. So within this, you really want to be clear on that your lead magnet is attracting the caliber of clients that are best suited for your offer. So a lot of times, one of the things that entrepreneurs, service providers, coaches will do wrong is they will have one lead magnet for all of the offers, even though their offers are speaking to ideal clients and different pain points at different stages in their life or in their business. So when you are creating your funnel, you want to make sure that your lead magnet is attracting and nurturing people who are best suited for this offer. So if you have 4 different services, you may have 4 different lead magnets because you want to ensure that the person who is engaging with this lead magnet is going to an offer that serves them at the next best step. So once you are clear on what that lead magnet is going to be, then you want to make sure that you are publishing it in places where your ideal client avatar is. So if they are in certain communities, if they are at certain sequences or in certain tags of your email list, you want to make sure that you are using this lead magnet as an actual magnet for the ideal clients that you need in your offer to make it successful. And then once you have those leads, you want to make sure that you are nurturing them. You want to make sure that they're not just subscribing to your email list and then being left hanging high and dry, right? So you want to make sure that you have DM conversions set up so that way once they are subscribing to your waitlist or they are enrolling into your program, you are giving them another touch point and you're either saying, hey, thanks so much for enrolling onto my waitlist, or thanks so much for enrolling into my program. If there's any questions that you may have, I would love to answer them. Just reply to this DM. Or you want to make sure that you have email sequences set up on the back end of your funnel that are nurturing them for you without your additional labor. Now, the very last step in mapping out your funnel is you want to figure out how you are going to increase the value of your launch. So a lot of times when we're thinking about our launch, we're only thinking about our freebie and we're thinking about our main offer. But some ways to increase the value of your launch are to also consider, are you going to have an upsell? Are you going to have a downsell? Are you going to have a tripwire? And how will these different offers fit into your funnel so that way once a consumer is entering into the funnel, whether they are downloading your freebie or they are applying to work with you, how will you move them so that way they are either downselling or upselling or hitting that tripwire at the perfect time? And the reason that this is important is because let's say you don't meet your enrollment goal, but you're able to hit your launch income goal because you have these downsells, these upsells, and these tripwires in place. So you always want to make sure that you are leveraging your full suite of offers when you can and if it makes sense for your ideal client. So a good example of this is if you download my freebie, a lot of times you will receive a tripwire for you to enroll into my mini course. And the reason for that is because the mini course is in direct connection to the free guide that I offer. And so a lot of times if you are interested in the free guide, you are going to be interested in the mini course because it is just a step further from the information that is provided in that guide. So I want you to think about and let me know in the comments, what is the most overwhelming part of planning your launch, right? Like there are so many steps to planning your launch. There's so many moving parts. And what is the most frustrating for you? What is the most overwhelming for you let me know in the comments. And I really want to talk about this because I want to ensure that I'm creating content, that I'm creating videos and resources that really help you eliminate that overwhelm in your launching and in your marketing. So answer that question for me in the comments, and I'm going to pop in and I'm going to engage with you and reply. Now, the very last step is to delegate, create, and schedule. Now, I know this sounds like 3 big steps, but it's really not. These 3 steps are going to be important in planning your profitable launch because you don't want to be planning your launch and running your launch at the same time. You want to plan your launch, have it set to forget, and then you want to be serving and selling. So one of the most overwhelming parts of planning your launch is if you are trying to plan it and you are trying to serve and you're trying to sell at the same time. When we delegate, create, and schedule ahead of opening our cart, then we're able to eliminate a lot of that overwhelm and release some of that burden and that stress. So first, you want to consider who are going to be your launch MVPs, most valuable players. And the reason that this is so important is because a lot of times as a solopreneur, we are wearing so many hats. We are the graphic designer, we are the copywriter, we are the talent, we are the operations manager, we are the VA, we are all these things, right? But when we're able to identify key roles that give us stress, or that if we could delegate them, it would just make our lives and our launch so much easier, then we're able to relinquish some of that frustration onto our MVPs and get the help that we need to show up in the best way without those feelings of overwhelm and fatigue and all of the things, right? So think about your launch MVPs. For me, my launch MVPs are always my copywriter, my graphic designer, and my virtual assistant. And what I do is I like to take the tasks that I have within my launch and say, do I need to do this, or can this be done by the graphic designer? Can this be done by the copywriter? Can this be done by the VA? And I like to release as many tasks as I can, so that way I'm only focusing on the things that only I can do, and I'm focusing on serving and selling because no one else can show up and serve and sell for me but me. So think about your launch MVPs. Think about what it is that you need to do. One of the things that I like to do when I'm launching is I like to either order meal prep from a chef, or I like to order HelloFresh. And the reason for this is that it allows me to not have to think about what it is that I'm going to eat. And it helps me to also not forget to eat. So that is like one of the ways that I like to make my life easier. I like to schedule my laundry pickups. I like to make sure that I have my housekeeper coming to clean the house. So that way all of these like things that I'm normally keeping track of in my brain are being removed from my brain, so that way during this period of launch I can focus solely on showing up and serving my audience. So think about some of the things that add more stress to your plate, whether it's in your business or in your home or wherever, right, that you feel contention when you're launching, and think about how could I bring in an MVP in this place right now to help me, so that way I can take this off of my plate and focus on showing up and serving for this period of time. Next, you want to think about what content or assets do you need to create. You do not want the cart to be open and you're sitting there and you're trying to figure out like, oh dang, I need a launch graphic, or I need a sales page, I need a thank you page, I need all of these things. You don't want to do that, right? You want to make sure that you already have a checklist of these items based off of previous launches or from what you have seen, that you can say, okay, I have these assets, they have been assigned to who they need to be assigned to, or they have been created, and everything is where it should be. Are your pages live to go? Are they ready to be released? Are your graphics created and in files or scheduled in Facebook Creator Studio for Facebook and Instagram? You want to make sure that these things are already done, so that way when the cart opens, you are literally only focused on showing up and serving, selling, etc. That's it. And then lastly, you want to make sure that you schedule all of your content and your emails ahead of time. There have literally been launches where I have scheduled 28 emails for the month at one time, and they just ran without me having to think about them, without me having to write them at the last minute. These emails were just going out, and I did not have to sit and be trying to write emails in real time. And it really helps because It just takes one more thing off your plate. When we're trying to eliminate the overwhelm in our launch and we're trying to eliminate the overwhelm in our business, a key part of this is always going to be taking as many things off of our plate during our open cart period as possible. So just to wrap this up, right? The 3-part framework for planning your profitable launch is going to be setting your goals and timeline, mapping out your funnel, delegating, creating, and scheduling as much of your content and your emails as possible. So if you follow these 3 steps while planning your launch, you'll avoid so much overwhelm and you will feel like you know exactly what it is that you need to do as soon as your cart opens. You'll be able to show up confidently during your open cart period, sell and engage with your audience, and just feel like the expert that you are. So you can learn more about how to increase your brand awareness and your visibility ahead of your launch by clicking the link below and grabbing the Profitable People program. If you like this content, show your love by liking this video and subscribing to the channel. I'd love to connect with you on Instagram. It's where I show the behind the scenes of my life and business. So screenshot this video and tag me in your stories to let me know that this video is where you came from. But before you go, don't forget to pop on over into the comments and let me know what the most overwhelming part of planning your launch is. I really want to talk to you about it and ensure that I'm creating content and resources that will help you eliminate this overwhelm. So pop on down and let me know what that thing is, so I can make sure that I can serve you and help you. Otherwise, see you next time, friend. Bye.